The clock on the nightstand ticked in sharp, lonely increments, each second echoing through the small, dim apartment like a heartbeat that refused to rest. Jacob Harper sat slouched on the edge of his worn sofa, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. Papers were scattered across the coffee table, bills, overdue notices, reminders of obligations he couldn't possibly meet. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, carrying a cold, biting reminder of winter's relentless approach. His son, Noah, slept quietly in the adjacent bedroom, the soft glow of a nightlight casting gentle shadows across his small face. Jacob's chest tightened as he looked at his boy, and a familiar knot of helplessness formed in his stomach. How was he supposed to provide for him, to give him a life better than this one, when every day felt like a battle he was losing? Jacob had always been proud of his independence, the ability to handle life's storms without asking for help. But tonight that pride felt like a burden, heavier than he could bear. The bills, the rent, the mounting debt, it all seemed insurmountable, a tidal wave threatening to sweep him and Noah away. And yet, even in the darkest corners of his mind, there was a flicker of hope, fragile but persistent. He reminded himself that he wasn't alone. He had worked tirelessly, balancing 2 jobs, sacrificing sleep, and every ounce of his personal life to ensure Noah had food, warmth, and love. But the strain was showing, etched into the lines of his face, in the weary slump of his shoulders, in the hollow weight behind his eyes. Just as he leaned back and closed his eyes, letting the tension of the day seep into his muscles, a soft knock on the door jolted him upright. At first he froze, a wave of fear and confusion washing over him. Visitors at this hour were rare, emergencies were even rarer. His mind raced through possibilities, neighbors needing help, a lost delivery, or worse. The knocking came again, firmer this time, more insistent, and a voice followed, low but urgent. "Jacob, it's me." His heart skipped. That voice, it was unmistakable. Margaret Lawson, his boss, the woman he had admired from afar for years, the one whose sharp mind and commanding presence had always inspired him, stood outside his door. Jacob's mind spun. Margaret wasn't just his boss. She was a figure of authority, someone who had always seemed untouchable, distant, almost unapproachable. And yet, here she was, standing in the hallway of his modest apartment complex, her breath visible in the cold night air, her eyes searching for something he couldn't yet understand. With trembling hands, he unlocked the door, and she stepped inside, her coat dusted with snow, her usual professional composure softened by an unfamiliar vulnerability. "Jacob," she began, her voice almost breaking, I didn't know who else to turn to." He motioned for her to sit, the apartment suddenly feeling impossibly small, the walls pressing closer as the weight of unspoken words filled the space between them. She removed her coat, revealing a simple but elegant sweater, and looked at him with an intensity that made his chest tighten. Margaret's story spilled out in a torrent of emotion. She had been struggling too, fighting battles that no one knew about, moments of doubt and fear that left her feeling helpless. She had come to him, not as an employee, not as a boss, not as a figure of authority, but as someone seeking connection, seeking understanding, seeking the humanity that they both shared. "I've seen how hard you work," she said quietly, her eyes glistening, "how much you sacrifice for Noah, and I needed to see if the kindness I've heard about could really exist in someone as real as you." Jacob's throat tightened. He had never imagined that the woman he had respected so much would see him, not as a struggling single dad, not as an employee who occasionally stumbled under the weight of his responsibilities, but as a human being, capable of resilience, capable of love, capable of hope. The room felt charged, the air thick with emotion, a delicate tension that was both frightening and exhilarating. He could feel Noah stirring in the next room, yet for the first time in weeks he allowed himself to breathe, to absorb the gravity of the moment, to feel that rare and precious spark of validation. Margaret spoke of the choices she had faced, of the fear that had driven her to this doorstep. She admitted her own doubts and insecurities, the moments when she had questioned her worth, her purpose, and even her faith in people. She explained that seeing him navigate life with integrity, courage and unwavering devotion to his son had stirred something inside her, something she could not ignore. "Jacob, I need you to know that kindness matters," she whispered almost desperately. "Second chances matter, and I believe in you. I believe in what you do every day, even when no one else does." Jacob's mind was a whirlwind of emotions: shock, disbelief, gratitude, and a burgeoning sense of hope. The struggles he had faced, the sacrifices he had made, suddenly seemed less insurmountable. He realized that he had been surviving, yes, but now he felt a glimmer of something more profound: recognition, understanding, and the possibility of connection. For the first time in months, maybe even years, he felt seen. And in that moment he understood that hope could arrive in the most unexpected forms, sometimes as a knock on the door when you least expect it. As the night wore on, Margaret shared more of her story, revealing the loneliness and pressure that came with her role, the weight of decisions that affected countless lives, and the quiet desperation that had driven her to seek someone who reminded of the goodness still possible in the world. Jacob listened, offering what comfort he could, his own worries momentarily set aside as he extended empathy and understanding. In doing so, he felt a strange lightness, a sense of purpose that went beyond his own struggles. He realized that kindness was not just a gift to others, it was a lifeline to himself as well. By the time she prepared to leave, the first hints of dawn were brushing the horizon with soft light. Jacob walked her to the door, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. Margaret paused, placing a hand briefly on his arm, her touch conveying more than words could capture. "Thank you, Jacob," she said simply, yet profoundly, "for everything." And with that, she was gone, leaving behind a sense of quiet transformation, a subtle shift in the atmosphere of the apartment, as though the walls themselves had absorbed the power of connection and hope. Jacob closed the door and leaned against it, his mind racing. The night had been surreal, a blend of fear, revelation, and profound human connection. He returned to his sofa, watching Noah sleep peacefully, and for the first time in a long while he allowed himself to dream, not of escaping his struggles, but of meeting them with renewed courage and grace. He thought about Margaret's words, about the importance of kindness, second chances, and the ways in which life had a mysterious way of bringing people together at the exact moment they were most needed. As the sun rose over the city, Jacob felt a shift within himself. The challenges ahead had not disappeared, but they no longer seemed insurmountable. He understood that human connection, the acknowledgement of effort, the recognition of sacrifice, and the simple acts of empathy could illuminate even the darkest moments. That morning, he carried a new resolve into his day, to continue working tirelessly for Noah, to embrace the kindness extended to him, and to be a source of light for others in ways both small and profound. This experience stayed with Jacob long after that night. He found himself smiling more often, pausing to appreciate small moments of joy, and understanding the quiet strength found in human compassion. Margaret's visit had been unexpected, even unconventional, but it had reminded him, and would continue to remind him, that no one is ever truly alone. And as he moved forward, he carried with him the certainty that courage, kindness, and hope were not just abstract ideals, but living, breathing forces that could reshape lives, one moment, one choice, one connection at a time. If this story moved you, touched your heart, or reminded you of the power of kindness and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life, and reminds us all that even in our darkest hours, hope can arrive when we least expect it. Before you leave, please take a moment to leave a comment sharing your thoughts. Has someone ever shown you unexpected kindness when you needed it most? Your experiences can inspire others in ways you might never realize. Remember, no matter the struggle, no matter the fear, compassion and connection can change everything. And sometimes all it takes is a single knock on the door to remind us that we are never truly alone.